Welcome to High Spiritual Healing channel. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And we are talking about, we are talking about the eclipse. The eclipse is a full moon cleanse on March the 3rd. And we want to be able to use this full moon cleanse, this eclipse. The moon will be eclipsed by the earth. It will be in the shadow of the earth, and it will appear a sort of blood moon, reddish. So we want to be able to use this eclipse. And the first thing that we want to do is gather some of the water from that night. So even if it is some mist, but we want to be able to get some of the water from that night, or put some water out so that you can have the benefits of having your own eclipse water in order to break spells and hexes, in order to break those attacks upon your family line. And so we're going to get into this and understand that this type of eclipse, whenever it has, the moon has been in the shadow of the earth, then we are able to break negative energy that has been sent to us through generations. We're able to break those hexes and curses off of our grandparents, our parents. We are able to see with clarity the negative energy, where it has come from and who has sent it. Okay? So we want to make sure that we're using this full moon cleanse. We're using this time in order to cleanse ourselves, and we want to see what the holy books say about the eclipse. Okay, so we want to go into Revelations 6 and 12. And we have here where it says, the sun became black as sackcloth. The full moon became like blood. Okay, so this is what it is saying about the full moon cleanse. And we want to also make sure that we're reading and praying. We want to pray during this time to ask God for guidance. We want to ask God to lead us on how we should moving forward, and breaking any kind of negative energy or generational curses that have been sent to us by the enslavers and the colonizers. Okay, so we have this understanding that we want to make sure that we're collectively cleansing ourselves, cleansing the negative energy with this eclipse full moon cleanse. And we are sending, those types of spell breaking, those hexes. We're breaking those hexes and curses that have been over our minds and our bodies around the world, against our people, against the diaspora, against the black men and women across the diaspora. We're coming together as a collective to cleanse this negative energy, and not only identify that negative energy that has been sent, the spells and curses that have been sent, but we want to identify those types of spells and curses that have gone over into our families, into our lives, that people are doing negative things that has been handed down from those colonizers and enslavers, to pedophilia, Those pedophiles in our family, in our community, they have to be exposed. They have to be, it has to be returned to sender. Okay, we want to identify those people in our family who have been raped, SA, and we want to make sure that we're breaking those curses. A lot of you are able to see those curses and patterns in your family where your grandmother or your grandfathers, your mothers and fathers were raped, by the colonizers, in the fields, in under, negative attacks from these people, so that we can return that negative energy to whoever is sending out those types of attacks, whoever has that energy, whoever has been using that type of attack upon us to keep us in, over a mental veil, a shadow of veils over our minds, our hearts, and our bodies, to keep this type of attack going over in our families, in our communities, it will be exposed. It's going to be exposed, and it's going to be returned to sender. So we understand what the Holy Bible says about, the moon turning black, like blood, red as blood. Okay, so we also want to go and see what it says in the Holy Quran. And this is how we are able to discern the prayers that we're going to make, during this eclipse, worm, full moon cleanse, to remove that type of negative energy, that type of attack that has been in our lives, that has caused the generational curses. Those people who have picked up those higher spirits, especially for those men who have picked up those higher spirits in order to reverberate the negative energy at their own people, at their own women, to break those desires and spells that have gone out over their mind, that, they attack their own people, their own women. They're going to, be in relationships and marriages. Their desire is to the colonizer, to give the wealth back to the colonizers and the enslavers. So we have to make sure that these types of spells are broken over our black men's mind, so that they understand that, the society has been created by the colonizers and the enslavers for them not to compete in society. And this society was not, conditioned by the black women, so that they know who their enemy is and where the negative energy has come from. So we want to pray against anything negative, over our men, and our men want to pray against any kind of negative energy that has gone forward in their lives, so that they're not, physically, financially there for their own people and their own families in their lives, that no one can, drive you out of your home unless you willingly go. If you're in competition, if you want to be like our ancestors, our fathers of old, who want to be the pimps and hustlers of their women, who want to, be in competition with their women, who want to be abusive in the home life, in the family life. There are a lot of marriages that are breaking down. A lot of these interracial marriages are breaking down because you cannot, control the aggression of the black man and woman. Only their own people can control that kind of aggression. So we have to have, our own people. We have to bring our own people back into the relationship, so that, we can get our numbers up, so we can stop pointing the finger, so we can come together and know who those enslavers are. We can know who the colonizers are, who have sent those types of spells and hexes over the men's mind, so that they will, be aggressive and attack their own people, their own women. Okay, so we understand that this is where this type of rhetoric, has come from, you know, that the black woman has put the black man out. You know, first of all, that a black woman can't put a black man nowhere. He decided to leave because he wanted to be in competition with the woman. He was embarrassed that he could not take care of his family. And a lot of men want to reverberate this type of rhetoric that has come from the colonizer, you know, to keep us separated in our societies. So we have to set the record straight with this eclipse full moon cleanse, this worm full moon cleanse, so we can see those who are hiding in the shadows, who have attacked us from the shadows, who did not want to be seen, but they are, you know, with the last 6 months of cleanses that we have done, we can see them perfectly. Their mask has fallen. Okay, so they want someone to abuse. They want someone to pretend. And that is the type of negative energy that they have sent up on our men. The spells and the curses, you know, for them to be overly sexualized, hypersexualized in the homes, attacking their own people. And we understand where this type of negative energy, this pedophilia, this type of, these pedophiles has come from, the enslavers and the colonizers. And we have, our men have picked up that spirit, and we are going to break those types of curses and hexes today, so that they understand that there is no growth when you have chosen, you know, those marriages, you know, outside of your race. You will not be able to grow. No, they will not be able to control those types of aggressions or attacks. You will be stagnant, and, you know, this will go over into a generational curse. Okay, so we understand that we're breaking those spells and hexes that have been sent over our people's lives at this time with this eclipse, with this worm eclipse. And we are in Al-Qiyamah, where it's talking about, and we're in Al-Qiyamah's Al-Qiyamah 75:4. Yes, we are able even to proportion his fingertips, but man desires to continue in sin. He asks, when is the day of resurrection? So when the vision is dazzled, and the moon darkens, and the sun and the moon are joined, man will say on that day, where is the place of escape? So, you know, these are some of the ways that we're understanding why we have to pray against this type of negative energy, so that we will have the clarity. Our men and women will have the clarity of what has been sent out, that all of our people have been under this attack and under this spell, and we are going to break it. We have already broken a lot of the negative energy in 2025, the last 6 months, the last past 6 months of 2025, so that a lot of our men are able to understand that those relationships, those marriages that they're getting in these interracial relationships, they're breaking because of the negative energy that has been sent from the colonizer to have them desire, you know, those relationships, those types of, you know, marriages. Okay, and there is no growth, and there is only loss, because you're giving back your wealth, and you want to keep, you know, your own people in a volatile enslaved state, just like, you know, the enslavers and the colonizers have given over into your minds and your heart. So we're taking that veil off of you. We're removing that veil to see who you have married, so that you will understand that you have neglected, you know, the wealth that you have made. You have neglected your own people, your own children. And for many of us, if it had not had been for welfare in our families, then, you know, when our men, our fathers walked away, some of our fathers left because they could not compete in society. They could not do what they want and enslave their own people and women. Okay? So we're understanding that the marriages that will go on in our community, for whoever it is, for whoever our people choose, it will go through the family. It's supposed to go through how the holy books say that it is supposed to be handled, through the parents, and if there isn't, a parent, then there is a guardian. Okay, and so you're not allowed as the black men anymore to just go up and start talking to a woman and you just choose her. Okay, you can just put your hands on her. You're going out to, different places. You're showing up. You're not going to be allowed to do that. Okay, because that's what the colonizers have given you. So we're breaking those hexes and spells where you're over-sexualized from these movies, from that 1960 and 70 era where you want to be like your fathers. All of that negative energy that these entities have given you to be in competition. You need to be in competition, asking how you're going to be able to take care of a family. If they're taking the jobs and you don't have any land, that's what you need to be in competition with. So we have this understanding that this eclipse is going to bring about the truth before your eyes. What you have been doing, you're going to be held accountable, for your actions, and you're going to pray to God to ask to remove those negative entities, those hexes and spells that have caused these atrocities in our community, where we cannot see each other's point of view, that we understand what our men have been through these enslavers and colonizers, so that we cannot see what our women have been through these enslavers and colonizers, where we cannot see what our parents have been through, the silent generation beginning with them, so that we could not get married and they were not allowed to be a part of the leadership. They were sent a spell to be quiet, to hush, so that we could not, include our parents and our grandparents, in our relationship and decision making skills. These are the spells and the hexes that we are breaking in our lives with this eclipse full moon cleanse. It's an eclipse worm full moon cleanse, so that we can see this type of negative entities that have been hired and sent towards us and have been taking effect in our lives. It does not matter, who the leadership is. It matters if the person is willing to abide by what God has sent down. And if you are not going by what God has sent down, then you are no better than rebellious evildoers. Now just look at you. Okay, so we understand that we reject whatever the colonizers and enslavers have given us, because they are no right guide to their own people. And anybody who is acting in that manner and behavior, who have taken on their ways or want to take on their ways, then God is definitely going to separate you so that you can have your entity. And just look at you. Okay, so we're going to look at what it says here about our full moon cleanse and, the eclipse. We're having the shadow work. We're working on the shadow work, that negative entity, that disease that has been sent to our hearts and our minds from these people, those behaviors that we have picked up on our men and our women, because we have a lot of these women that will readily sell their daughters into, sexual servitude, over-sexualized, hyper-sexualized, communities, homes. We're breaking that spirit and we're exposing those people, and we're making sure that they go with their entity. They go with their master. That they are separated, that they're not fit for leadership. Okay? Those people who want to take on those lives, those people who will do anything to have a man or a woman in their life, including harm their own children. We are exposing those types of demonic entities in our communities, in our homes, and wherever they may be, and they are exposed, and they are made for the colonizers, the entity who has sent them these higher spirits that they cannot break. So this means that you are doing the shadow work, your subconscious revealing the earth shadow covering the moon surface to face hidden, uncomfortable truths and subconscious patterns. So this is what we have been talking about. This is what we're breaking. This is what we're going to break. This is what we're calling back our power from these entities who we see these patterns that have gone over through slavery, through our parents. We're breaking these generational curses off of our grandparents. Okay? So it has nothing to do with being racist. It has a whole bunch to do. This is what's been sent out, and this is what's been going on. And a lot of these, a lot of the men do not want to be held accountable for their role, and they are reverberating what this entity has given them when they know full well that our black women, the black women and the children, the black women of old did not run the country, the society either. That this society has always been run by the men. God gave them the head, whether you're in the Holy Bible or you're in the Holy Quran. You are the head, and if your team is failing, if your birth rates are low, it is because of the evil that your hands have wrought. Now just look at you. And this is what we're supposed to be doing. We're releasing those negative energies. We're not pointing the finger anymore. We're coming together to see what's been going on in these families. We're coming together to call out that negative energy, releasing and cleansing. An ideal time for releasing, letting go of, or ending situations, relationships, or habits that have outgrown their purpose. Okay, so how you gonna still, again, I ask this question all the time. How you gonna be a grown person, 40 and 50 years old, and you want to be a rapper? You're pursuing a rap, career, but your kids hungry. Your sons idolize somebody else. You're not, we're not able to make them get up and control them in the house without picking up something, to have to discipline them. So, you cannot say that it is the women when, you have not inserted yourself and you have not exerted yourself in the relationship, in the community, in the home, except to have some beat, to take the finances that you were given and give them away, to take the finances and build other families that you have not been there emotionally, financially, or physically for. And we are breaking these spells because this comes from the colonizer. And I'm on top of you today. I know a lot of you don't like it, but this is what God put on my heart for this full moon cleanse, for this eclipse, in order to remove this type of negative energy, so that the men can have clarity, so that the men can cleanse this negative energy, and so that we don't end up in positions like, the Shannon Sharps. We don't end up in those types of positions like the Tiger Woods, so that, you do not keep pointing a finger and say, oh, the black women don't want us because, we won't be second, to the desires or the spells going over in our lives where you're violent with us, but you give and you're smiling somewhere else. Now just look at you. No, it won't go down like that. As long as you're having your way, you got big rims, you're having your way. This ain't what you want. Okay. High intensity magic. Eclipses are often described as having volatile, unpredictable but extremely potent energy that can amplify intentions, particularly those surrounding transformation. And that's what we're doing. We're transforming your mind. We're removing the veil off of your eyes. We're removing that negative energy that if you keep reverberating what your master has given you, then you are a part of your master. And, you will not have the growth that you're supposed to be able to reach. You will not have, the gifts and anything that has been given to you. You will not be able to reach that potential with any other people besides your own people. And that negative energy will be bred out as a generational curse to your lineage. So, you can go ahead and choose them now. Okay, so this is what we understand, the karmic turning point. Often viewed as a point of no return, initiating significant life changes. And that just simply means that either you're going to choose your growth, you're going to choose to, fight against the negative energy with your people, or you're going to choose, to be with your colonizers or your enslavers. And this will be a pivotal moment of no return when we are cleansing this type of negative energy with our full moon eclipse for March the 3rd. Okay? So these are the understandings that we have, that you're at the point of no return, that, you can't point the finger at nobody and say, this is why you failed. Okay? So we are cleansing ourselves, and the blood moon symbolizes, this is a good one. So listen up. When the moon turns red, it is associated with intense, sometimes chaotic energy, or a reset of emotional cycles. So we're resetting that negative energy, the mindset, the hearts, the disease. Usually when people have used the love magic, where they have sent out toxic negative energy, and this is the behavior, they start turning on the people that has used that magic in the home. They start turning and setting up on the people inside of the home. And we're breaking that negative curse. We're breaking that spirit. We're forcing people to look at themselves and their behavior, especially our men. We're forcing them to understand, you cannot sit up and play video games while I'm going to work. I'm not going to take care of you. I'm not going to provide the house for you. You cannot come stay with me and just look at you. Okay? So if you are taking yours and not handling your business in the homes, then we are breaking that negative energy off your mind and your heart, that disease where, you want to spend all your money and not leave a legacy for your children. We are breaking that negative energy, those hexes and curses and spells off of your hearts and minds. So we have to leave that in the past with the ancients, with our fathers that wanted to enslave our people, our women, and be pimps in order to pretend that they were equal to something, in order to pretend that they felt good about this type of negative energy that has been sent by the colonizers and the enslavers. Now just look at you. Okay, so now we understand that, we have zero tolerance. God has zero tolerance, and we have zero tolerance for those who are negative and evil in our homes and communities. And so this is a releasing ritual where you are journaling, burning papers, or performing rituals to let go of old patterns. So this is what we have been talking about. You can use the water from this eclipse full moon in order to cleanse this negative energy that has been plaguing your family at a later time for people on both sides of your family. And if you need to have something a little bit more progressive with this situation, you're seeing cycles and patterns, for 50 years, you're seeing cycles and patterns in your children, in you for 100 years. You can look back and see that your great grandmothers and fathers were, enslaved, great S8, anything along those lines in cycles or patterns. You want to be able to use asphyxity incense and the Four Thieves vinegar as a progressive method. To cleanse those types of generational curses out of your line. And you can get in touch with me in order to understand how long you will have to do this, because right now we will be doing this for 6 months. You will be able to see the after effects of this for 6 months. So initially, if you're not having those types of problems for our full moon cleanse, for our worm full moon cleanse, March the 3rd, 2026, tomorrow, we're going to do a rose water to cleanse the negative energy out of our hearts. You can, drink that as a tea or a bath. And we're doing the clove incense to remove any kind of negative energy that has been plaguing you, attacking you, or trying to, insert, the higher spirits in your life, prolong, to make sure that those types of higher spirits on your money, your health, your finances, your relationships are removed. Okay, I've already given you the prayers for that. You can also read from the Holy Bible, the 37th chapter of Psalms, so that we can always see the home of the wicked and have that clarity. Okay, so we're taking off these blinders. We're taking off these blinders on this full moon cleanse. We're taking off the blinders, for these rituals. And we're praying against the negative energy wherever they came from, and how they were incurred and incorporated into our family and incorporated into the minds and of our men in our everyday lives. So we want to make sure that you can also use, with the rose water, you can use a rose quartz in order to, enhance the ability to remove any kind of disease from the hearts, to give the clarity of the hearts and minds, in order to bring the heart and the mind on one accord, to remove this negative energy as well. You can use it as a ritual, with the rose anointing oil. You can use it with the rose bath as well, with the cloves incense, in order to remove any kind of, lingering negative attacks that may be up on your heart and your mind, so that we break these types of spells, so that we have the clarity and we have the cohesiveness together, so that we have an understanding that it wasn't our fault, but we will have to fix it. Okay, it wasn't our fault what went on in the past, but we have to make sure that we are highlighting who has that energy. We have to highlight, we have to take the blinders off, the shadow work. We're doing the introspection. We're doing the shadow work on ourselves with this cleanse. And we have to make sure that, this is a double eclipse and a full moon, that we're doing, double duty. We're doing, this is a double mission, where that negative energy, those people who have been hiding in the shadows, pulling the strings, giving you something that they would not want for their own people. Okay? We have to make sure that we have the clarity to see them, and we're pulling our power back. We're not, giving our gifts away. We're not, working. We're not working for people. We're going in business for ourselves. Where they didn't want us to compete, or people to compete in society, our men or our women. Then we're pulling our power back, and we're making our own food. We're acclimating ourselves to our people. We are building our own brands, our own. We're educating our own. We're making that into a business where we're educating our own children. And we can, definitely reach out to each other, for those who have lost their jobs, in order to make sure that they're compensated, and we can, get the ball rolling. So, I just wanted to give you guys this ritual of this eclipse full moon cleanse, what the holy books say, that we should be praying, and that's Kiamat. I keep saying that, Al-Qiyamah 75, 4 through 8, and we have Revelations, 6 through 12, that we can pray, against any kind of negative energy. And you know how I am. I want you to read the entire surah. I want you to read the entire book of Revelations, so that, any kind of attack upon your life will not move forward, and you will have the clarity. If you can't see it, you will be able to smell it. If you can't smell it, you will be able to hear it. Okay? If you can't hear it, you'll be able to touch it, and then something don't feel right. You'll have that gut feeling, something don't feel right. And, definitely, to reverberate, back what somebody has been saying over the internet over time, we're going to have to, shut that down, so that we can get our birth rates up, so that we can come together and we can stop pointing the fingers at our parents, at each other, because there is another entity that has been involved with these atrocities upon our relationships, upon our community, upon our finances, upon our home life, upon our education. And this is the clarity that we are receiving, in order to do the shadow work and look at self and stop pointing the finger, so we can come together. So I hope you received this message. Please like, share, and subscribe to me over all of my platforms. You can book your one-on-one life coaching sessions or your video chat sessions. You can also book your consultations, so that I can acclimate a gift to you if you've had any of these patterns or generational curses that has happened in your family. Please like, share, and subscribe to me over all of my platforms, so that I can, make sure that you get the help that you need. Donate to my channel. I'm High Oracle, Reiki Spiritual Healer. Assalamu alaikum.